Okay, Elena, I got your request this morning, and so I've done a little bit of research, and this is what I found. I found this document on archives.gov, citing records in the National Archives, and it gives me a little bit of guidance. I just wanted to show you in case you want to come back here. So on page 11, guidelines for citing digitized documents available on the National Archives website, which is this right here. And that's what this is. So I came down here. So it's on page 11. And I'll show you what it says. Okay, you can read the whole thing, but it talks about how your citation looks very different if you had it in text, meaning like you had the physical copy in front of you, but you want to differentiate and you want to say that it's an electronic record, and you actually have to plug that in. I haven't even done the NoodleTools. I'm actually going to just do the NoodleTools as we work through this. I haven't done this before. I'm doing it as I'm researching this. I'm videotaping it. If NoodleTools doesn't plug in this bracket with electronic record in bracket, you may have to do that yourself. But let me just tell you what else I've done. So I looked up the Commission on Wartime. So I know you said that you only use chapter 1, but you have to figure out who's responsible for this document, and you can figure that out in the summary. And in the summary, it tells me the Commission on Wartime Relocation and Internment of Civilians was established by an act of Congress. Okay, so I looked up over here just on Wikipedia. It was a group appointed to by Congress, and you think of Congress as both House of Representatives and Senate, so it would be a joint group as opposed to a committee from the House of Representatives or a committee from Senate. Since it says U.S. Congress, I'm gonna refer to it as a joint group. Okay, so I'm going to go to NoodleTools. I'm going to come back out. You need to access NoodleTools through the school's haiku website, our library haiku site. This is the only way you have the subscription that I'm about to show you. Otherwise, you can do NoodleTools allows you to do some things free, but it won't allow you to save it, and it doesn't give you all the options. So I'm in my history project, and I'm going to go to sources right here, and I'm going to choose a source. Create a new citation. Okay, this is on a website because you sent me a link to a website. A database would be something that was password protected, like from our library, but that's the National Archives, and most government documents that are public don't require that, and they're open on the open web. So citing it as a website is appropriate. So I'm going to click here. Then I'm going to come over here because I'm doing a government document. Okay. And I really don't know if this would be considered a government publication. I don't think so. I wish it was really clear cut to me. We know it's not a state report because this is U.S. Senate. So I recall I called this a U.S. report or document because it is a document. It is a report. It is the summary, right? Okay. So I'm going to come here. And notice it says use this form to cite federal reports issued by Congress, House, Senate, or Joint Committee. So I'm going with that. This is Joint Committees. Freestanding reports issued by organizations or government departments, agencies like CRS or GA can be cited as technical research reports. This is different. That would be if someone's collecting data and reporting data. Or at least that's how I read it. Okay, so we're going to come up here. You want to grab your URL. And chances are your teacher is going to want you to, well, I don't know, it's not very long. Oftentimes the teacher wants you just to put the root so you get rid of the rest of it like that. But ask your teacher because everybody's a little bit different. This would be appropriate. If you did it today, you click today. Otherwise, whatever day you accessed it is the day, like you printed it out for yourself, like you want a copy, that's the day you put in here. So we're going to come down here, title of document. Okay. And you asked in your question, do you just cite the chapter? Oftentimes when we're citing books, that's what we do. I think you refer to this as a book, but this is actually, I think, just a government document. It may have been bound but I don't think it's considered quite the same thing as a book. So I'm going to click through here, but you can see this is just the beginning of the report, and it's been put into chapters based on time periods and events and topics. So I'm going to not have you try and cite a chapter because it doesn't allow me to do that in the citation tool for a government document. So that title of the document would be Personal Justice Denied. Notice if I did this, I get this little right here, and it's going to make a suggestion. It says the first letter of the capital word denied should most likely be capitalized. It should be capitalized. In Chicago Turabian, actually, I think in all of them, I think this is considered a joint committee, U.S. government, agency, department, office, or committee. I would have called this the commission, because that's who's responsible for this document. Commission on, let me see if I can, there we go. I'm going to grab it from there. Okay, number of Congress, session of Congress. No idea off the top of my head. Now, typically, you do not make up things you don't know. You just, because you'll, even if you go back in here, it talks in here. I've read this already, you may not have read it already, and that's okay. It talks about you don't know every field, and that is okay. However, I do believe you could go look up which number of Congress this was presented in. If you can't find it, you don't make it up. Okay, it does tell us it was in 1982. And we tell what pages you're on. I have no idea. You tell the start page. I'm just going to make that up. Actually, no, I won't. I'll grab, you said you did it from part 1. Let's see if it has a page number. See, part 1 has page 27. So we'll say 27 right here. And you hit submit. And right here. Now, remember how I said over here, you're supposed to put electronic record in there? That's what this site says. I don't know if that holds true for Chicago Turabian. So what I would go back, this should be Chicago Turabian. So if I were you, I would just ask your teacher how they would prefer that. Because this should meet Chicago Turabian's requirements. I just find, and the point in here, when they were showing you this, let me see, is you want to indicate, let me see if you want to indicate that it's an electronic record, but notice you don't have a URL, okay? But here, you have a URL, and that indicates an electronic record. So I think that's how you do it. But if you do a little bit more researching and you find that I'm wrong, come back, or you know that you can add that electronic record in. But once you add that URL, you're telling the reader that it's an electronic document, or that you accessed it electronically, I should say that. Okay, so hopefully, Elena, that answers your question. Let me know if you still have problems.